Hello everyone, this is Lessons with another video forecast. In today's video, we are going to be breaking down the upcoming winter storm coming to portions of the southeast. This will include states like South Texas, South Mississippi, South Louisiana, along with portions of southern Alabama and Georgia, with the Florida Panhandle and parts of northern Florida seeing snow. Sorry for the lack of uploading, as I'm finally back from church camp. But starting off here in Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas area, we do have a few winter weather advisories in effect for snow upwards of 1 inch in accumulation. Best chance of accumulating snow will probably be across this area, but snow showers could extend as far south as down here into portions of northwestern Arkansas and southeastern Oklahoma. If we go ahead and head over to our major hazards that we are looking at, you can tell we have winter weather advisories for parts of central Texas, along with extending all the way out into East Texas into portions of central Louisiana. That will be for up to 3 inches of snow accumulation, with these winter storm warnings being anywhere from 5 to 8 inches of snow accumulation being possible, along with a light glaze of ice being possible in the winter weather advisories, and up to a 1/4 inch of ice in our winter storm warnings. Now, we do still have winter storm watches in effect that will likely be upgraded here as we move along, and potentially even in this video we could have them upgraded. If we go ahead and head over to our models, first we're going to look at the temperatures on the NAM. So these are actual temperatures. As you can tell today, we're going to see some pretty chilly temperatures into portions of Florida and Texas, bringing that chance across this area for those snow showers and that massive snowstorm. Now, we're going to go ahead and look at reflectivity and precipitation type. As you can tell, we are seeing those snow showers in portions of Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. But if we decide to go ahead and move on, you see those will go throughout the day probably before dying out for later tonight, and even upwards of probably around now. If we go ahead and check over on Radar Omega, you can already see we're starting to get those little pockets of wintry mix developing down towards San Antonio, Texas. So if we head back over to Pivotal Weather, you can see that is already starting, as that is just going to be the start, as this is really going to ride that Gulf Coast and turn into a huge freezing rain event over here in portions of Florida. So if we go regional here, first we will go ahead and look at Texas in the south central. As you can tell, we're going to see quite a bit. Now, I'm not sure how far back. If I worked at the NWS, I would put those winter storm warnings, but as you can tell, we have winter storm warnings all the way back here, but it looks like only 1 inch of snow is going to be possible there. But we really get a lot more snow the further east we move. So that is something that we need to watch for. Along with freezing rain is another thing. I feel like freezing rain is probably going to be the biggest factor here in Texas, along with Florida, with, as you can see, upwards of 2/10 of an inch of ice being possible back here in southeast Texas. That is, yet again, that other thing that we need to watch for. Go ahead and look at the wrap, though, for temperatures. You can tell we're going to get this cold air to surge. And a huge question remains in Florida is how far south is this cold air going to get? If it can get back towards Tampa or even Daytona Beach, well, we could be looking at the potential for snow as far south as Tampa. I would put Tampa seeing snow at around a 20% chance, though. If we go ahead and look at the reflectivity and precipitation type, if it will load, it would be nice, but a little bit slow here. But now that we got this to load, as you can tell, we have our snow showers in Oklahoma. It does not show them as big as they actually are, You can tell that it might drop maybe a dusting of snow there in Oklahoma. Nothing more than that. As you can tell, we're going to see those little bands of ice and snow before it turns into our huge storm. So, I forgot to go over on the NAM to Florida and stuff for snow accumulation. So, total snowfalls, we will head back over to the NAM after that. After we look at this. So, first we're going to look at Texas for snowfall. A little bit slow here trying to run all these tabs, but we will slowly but surely get there. As while that loads, we'll go ahead and take a look at our hazards over here towards portions of Florida. As you can tell, winter storm warnings extending all the way back into the Florida Panhandle, with our winter storm watches across portions of Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. You can see these are getting towards areas like Daytona Beach, Florida. That'll be something that we really need to watch for if we end up seeing any back there, as this did load now. So if we want to move the wrap forward, it has this one little pocket you can see up here in Oklahoma, maybe 3 inches being possible with a dusting towards Tulsa. But our big storm showing probably upwards of 8 inches on the wrap. That'll also be something, as you can tell, not very much snow back here in southeast Texas, more towards the Houston area. We could be seeing upwards of 4 to 6 inches. Freezing rain on the wrap is not looking like we're going to see a lot. Looks like maybe about 0.3 of an inch back there in southeast Texas, which is why it is prompting that winter storm warning. If we go and look at the NAM again and move this over to portions of the southeast United States. First, we're going to look at freezing rain. As you can tell, it wants a pretty big freezing rain event here in Florida. But I want you to pay attention to this, is that there's a very sharp cutoff line of where we're going to be seeing ice. You can see it wants upwards of 1.5 inches in some areas. I do not agree with that. I agree with maybe about 0.5 inch of ice at most there in Florida. Now, if we go ahead and look at snowfall over here, you can see quite a bit of snow here in the panhandle of Florida, as this is a very elongated area for snowfall. But yet again, we have that sharp cutoff line right here. So that is what we have to watch for, is where is that going to cut off. As you can tell, 12 inches here in portions of, it looks like, Louisiana. Or Mississippi, yes. Mississippi. With here in Alabama seeing maybe up to 1 foot of snow. Along with here in Florida, we could be seeing upwards of 10 inches of snow in that northwestern Florida panhandle. If we go and look at the Canadian model, you can tell we're going to see those snow showers in Oklahoma continue through the day before we get our bigger snowstorm event. And that has a little bit farther south of snow. You can see towards Tampa is a little bit more there. That'll be something that we have to watch for. If we go regional, first we're going to check on Texas. Now, with Texas, you can tell this has the snow a lot farther south, but you can tell, yet again, we have like a sharp cutoff line here. But you can see upwards of 15 inches of snow there in parts of Texas being possible. That is another thing we have to watch for. This is usually an outlier model, though, and is usually not the most accurate. As you can tell, it's picking up on, at most, around 1/10 of an inch of ice. And I feel like we will be seeing a little bit more, which is why this is considered our outlier model. If we go ahead and look at the southeast for freezing rain, you see it has a pretty elongated area for freezing rain, extending all the way from portions of Florida up through the northeast. So yet again, something that we have to watch. We look at total snowfall. You can see it does not have as much in Florida. It does not have it going as far south, just in that northwest Florida panhandle. And more confined over Texas and Louisiana for the biggest snow totals. So that is yet again something we have to watch for. Now, if we get over to the CMC on tropical tidbits, you can tell here. We have our snow showers up there in Oklahoma. Those will continue before we get our big event with that big ice and freezing rain. Now, we're going to go ahead and look at total snowfall. And as you can see, looks like this has the greatest snowfall over out here in the ocean, but about 8 inches being possible there in Texas, Louisiana, and portions of Florida, with a dusting to an inch of snow being possible in northeast Oklahoma. But as you can tell, yet again, sharp cutoff line here in Florida. This is very rare. This is once in a decade event. If we go ahead and look at the CMC over more of Texas, you can see this is going to be like a starting off, as we could get maybe a little bit of severe weather threat as it moves out into portions of Florida. That'll be something that we have to watch for, as you can tell. Inch of snow back there in the Texas panhandle, along with the Oklahoma panhandle, along with those somewhat higher end snow totals for back here in Texas. Probably upwards of a foot possible back here in Texas, here in that about southeastern side. Be something that we definitely have to watch for. If we would, though, and look at the GFS, we'll actually look at that last. If we go ahead and look at the NAM 3KM over here across portions of Texas, you can see those snow showers continue for Oklahoma before we start getting our freezing rain. And it looks like it's going to be very scattered here at first before it starts to move pretty fast across portions of Florida and race. So as you can tell, if we go over here, that is not what I meant to hit. But I keep hitting the wrong thing. Please forgive me. If we go and look at our total snowfall, you can tell it's not picking up on as much, maybe 8 inches over here in portions of Louisiana, with an inch to 2 inches back here in southeast, south central Texas. That'll be something we have to watch for on the NAM 3KM. Because what model is this? GFS and GFS over there. Okay. So we don't need to look at GFS out there. Alright. So then we'll have to move this over to our regions over here in the southeast United States. And you can see foot of snow, Florida? Maybe. Definitely possible. And as you can tell, one thing that I do want to point out, that is getting more towards the northern side of Tampa. So if we go ahead, as we're going to have this play out, but we're going to change this to the precip type. And as you can tell, we're going to start to see our snow band develop back here in Texas. And it's very slow moving at first until it finally starts to pick up steam with this low pressure system racing. As you can tell, quite the freezing rain event it looks like. With maybe on the back side here, we could see a little bit of a changeover to snow potentially. But as you could tell, had about a foot of snow there. Now, if we go ahead and look at the GFS for this, you can see GFS has that pretty big event. This is just going to be a look ahead into the future, as you can tell. It looks like we're going to get pretty quiet after this for a few days before we see the potential return of a winter storm for portions of Oklahoma, Arkansas, maybe even Texas again, northern Texas, and even maybe a little bit of Louisiana. Does not look like a super big winter storm if it did, but around, this is the 29th, so it's about 9 days out. That is the storm that I'm really looking at. That's the storm that I'm thinking. January 29th, we could be seeing a pretty big storm potentially there in Oklahoma. Now it is 9 days out, so take it as a grain of salt. And you obviously cannot forecast the total snowfall. But I just like to take a look on what it's picking up there. As you can see, maybe up to 2 inches across that area. That will most definitely change, and who knows, tomorrow that may even be gone. So just take it with a grain of salt. Hope you guys all did enjoy today's video, and make sure to leave your comments below if you have any questions about your area. Have a good day.